All right, good morning, everybody. TG Watkins here. Let's see, it is 10 o'clock a.m. at my side. I'm over on the West Coast, on the Pacific, and we got it'll be noon Central, which is where we are based in Austin, Texas, for Simpler Trading. So, yeah, sometimes I always get my time zones wrong a little bit, but want to make sure everyone is still here, and we also have it recording for you too. Before we get started, just want to let you know that our New Year's sale is still running. We have 30% off most everything in the store, and the discount code is NEW24. All right. So from there, I also then want to show you guys kind of where we're going to be going for today. Today is going to be my outlook for 2024. So I've got a bunch of names to talk about, and we've got some things to kind of show you like the bigger picture of what I am looking at. So this is really what we're going to be going through. So hope you guys are doing well. And yeah, if you guys want, I can answer some questions later. We are up on YouTube. We're also in the Essentials room, and we're in the Moxie room. So I've got lots of people here, and if anybody has some questions, let me know. But I'll mostly be telling you guys what I'm seeing, what I'm looking at out there, and then we can kind of dive in a little bit more if you want. Omero, thank you. Looks like we're good to go in all the rooms. And yeah, thanks for checking out. All right, so let me get one more thing as we come into this, because I need to get one more. Yeah, well, you guys are going to like this image that I have. Let me get that. And let's see, move this over a little bit. All right, yeah, I'll do that in just a second. So what I like in through here is we're going to be going through the Magnificent Seven and how the rest should be playing catch up. So let me show you guys this real quick, and that'll kind of give you an idea of what has kind of been going on. So here we are with the showing you how the Magnificent Seven, so basically, like, the FANG stocks, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Meta, NVIDIA, NVIDIA has been a big one, basically how this has really been setting the whole market off and through for 2023, because everyone was expecting the market to really roll over and crash and all this kind of stuff, and it did. We definitely got a bear market for sure, but October of 2022 was the bottom of the market, as it turns out. And there were quite a few names that participated in the 2023 rally. It wasn't the smoothest, but it was really, as we said, just kind of the main ones. You can see here that here is the performance of the Magnificent Seven versus the rest of the 493 stocks in the S&P 500. That's a pretty big gap, right? 63% gap between that as far as their performance. So we know that it's been pretty much heavily weighted for which stocks had done well. Now that being said, I'm of the mindset and of the camp that when we look at this and say, okay, where is the S&P and where's the Nasdaq? Let me get where's this? There we go. Let me clear this up too. Go blink and blink. And so we look at this, and I can see that the market has been doing well. Here's October 2022, and we've been basically following, like, once we got past the monthly 10, we've been following the monthly 10. We had a little bit of a correction right there. That was what August, September, October pullback. Perfectly called the top. Now, I had no idea that the market was going to pull back as much as it did, but we did call the top mostly by reading the breadth indicators and everything. And then watching also the bottom coming into support, and also seeing that everything was get really, really heavily to the bearish side, like way, way, way too heavily bearish. And so then we finally got everything to spike in November. I was at the Orlando Money Show over that Halloween weekend, basically. So I think it was the 29th and 30th. And I was telling everybody, like, hey, I wouldn't be short through here, and I'm actually looking for things to turn out. Everything's spring loaded. We're just looking for the trigger. And, go figure, it was Jerome Powell that was helped with the trigger on that one. Yeah, no surprise there. So now here we are back up to previous all-time highs. It's going to be some natural resistance. Yes, of course, they expect the market to kind of take a breather here, digest things. We need to have things cycle back down. But I do think we're going to keep going higher. I really don't see why we wouldn't. Everything is looking pretty good. And we even look at the equal weight. So that is the other thing that I wanted to come over here and show you guys. Let me get this pulled up over here. So yeah, you can see, so the Magnificent Seven led, and I think that the rest should catch up. So that's kind of my theme for 2024, is that the Magnificent Seven have led the way, and then I think it's time for everything else to notice that they have led the way and that the market is doing better. Now, whatever to say about the economy, I know there's a lot of stuff to go back and forth about the economy. Is it really doing well? Is it not doing well? All that kind of stuff. I get it. It's kind of hard to figure out what's going on there. We got politics. I mean, you got the news. I get it. We got debt that's up. We got consumer debt. We got national debt. Trust me. But all I'm trying to do is really just look at the charts, look at stocks, see what's going on, look at the cycles, and that's kind of what I'm getting. Now, if we look at the RSP, this is the equal weight of the S&P, and it really kind of looks like the IWM if I were to, look at something like that. And what I see is a new high right there. And everything is looking pretty darn good. And, it had its opportunities to go lower, especially here. That was that big pullback, August, September, November. Big pullback. That was its opportunity to really, if it was going to go lower, to go lower. But instead, it's making new highs. So what this is telling me that is there is broad-based support, broad-based participation, because this is the equal weight. So remember, I was just talking about how the Magnificent Seven have been leading the way for 2023. I think, as with anything, if it gets up too high, it's going to take a breather. I have a feeling that there's probably going to be money coming out of those big names, maybe even coming out of treasuries and bonds, because, if the interest rates do come down and people are going to see that the market's doing well, there's a lot of money on the sidelines. So I'm kind of thinking that we should be looking for, I can't confirm it yet, but I think we should be looking for money coming off the sidelines and back into the market if these things continue to move up and continue to look strong, and if there continue to be opportunities like this. We have a fresh Moxie price trigger, which we have not seen. This is the equal weight. I mean, look, there was our exit, and here's our entry. So that is a huge thing that I'm looking at. And we can even be looking at the QQQE, which is the equal weight of the NASDAQ. And this is also looking great. I mean, this is clearly in an uptrend. The Moxie indicator has been doing well. It tested support back in that August, September, October. And again, we are up here just knocking on all-time highs. Of course, I don't necessarily expect it to go straight up. It's probably going to have to take some breather. It could even pull back a little bit, but I have a feeling we're going to be moving right along. You can even look at the DPO, which is something I don't talk about too much, but on the monthly time frame, it's looking good. We have squeezes, just on a bigger picture. The outlook is good, and especially I like the outlook because we just came back here and tested major moving average support. And if you look at a price level, we really just tested a pretty big price level back here too. So, and look at the reaction that we had. I mean, look at our November, December reaction from coming down, testing that, and all that. So all I can do is kind of look at these charts and say, yeah, it's looking pretty good. So unless something really out there, black swan, some other country military conflict, stuff like that. If I'm just looking at the stocks right here, right now, it does look to me like things are going to be pretty good. Of course, there will be corrections along the way. Of course, there will be pullbacks. Just for example, like look at that. We had a 3-month pullback, but look at the result that we got from it. So this is just normal market activity, and I think for now things are looking like they're doing all right. All right, so yeah, there we go. We got the equal weight ETFs. Monthly, look at the monthly, weekly charts. Let me show you some tickers that I've kind of been pulling together for this example to show you what's happening. I think we also know what's happening with the housing industry. So the fact that, or the idea that lower interest rates kind of got sniffed out with the market, we're seeing the TNX come down. Look at something like Nail. This is the home builders ETF. Look at that turnaround. It went from $40 to over $100. Amazing. And in my world, what this looks like is this was a 50, 250 maneuver right there on a weekly time frame. Price not only pulled back to an uptrending weekly 50, it was also a trampoline move. And a trampoline move is when price is below the 50, but the Moxie indicator is above 0. So for those of you who have the Moxie indicator, I want to show you good examples like this, and this is how you can utilize the tool. For those of you who don't have the Moxie indicator, this is why it's important. This is why it's useful, and this is how it helps me trade, because basically it's like that's why I call it a trampoline move. It's like you jump on a trampoline and you spring down, and it comes right back up, and that is your spring, is the Moxie indicator right there. So huge moves. Of course, these things are overbought. They're definitely overbought. Of course, they need to come back down. That's what we've been seeing in the new year. And we just need to figure out, okay, where do they want to come back down to, and then carry on. But they do look like they want to continue on. We could also look at things like open. Now, this is this is emblematic of what I also think with the rest of the market and why I think 2024 is going to be good, is because of stuff like this. We had our crazy run in 2020, some of them carried on to 2021, but for the most part, the growth names, the small caps, the rest of the market, other than the Magnificent Seven, all got taken down real hard in 2022. And then if they were lucky, they went sideways in 2023. So that's what I mean. But when we say that the Magnificent Seven led the way for 2023, while the rest of everything, yeah, okay, they stopped going down. Yeah, there were some moves like that, but they're off their lows, sure. But a lot of them didn't really do too much. I got more examples I want to show you guys, but it's nice to see that at least in 2023, these names stopped going down. They put in a low and they're starting to make higher lows, and a lot of them are starting to make higher highs. And so I like what I'm seeing here. And this is open door, again, related to the housing industry. Yes, everything had really good moves. November, December, we caught some of them, but the market ran out of steam. Everything got overbought. Some of them ran into resistance, and now they're pulling back. But so far, what I see through here is this is the beginning of the next new trend. They're starting to hold moving averages on these higher time frames. Everything looks good with the Moxie indicator, and we're just waiting for this pullback to occur in order for these things to start moving back to the upside. So it's that life cycle of the stock market, right? You up, you plateau, you pull back, you bottom, and then you start that process all over again. And I feel like we're kind of right there. We've gone through 2.5, 3 years of this for a cycle, and I think everything's kind of cycled back down. We can also look at RKT. This is Rocket Mortgage. And look what it did. It came out here, definitely didn't do anything because how is anything going to be going up in 21 and 22? And then it went sideways in 2023. And look at this, new highs. Like that's kind of all you need to kind of know is, they kind of sniffed out what's going on with the market and with the interest rates and all that. And there you go, in new highs. But of course, you don't want to be buying up there. Of course, you need to wait for a pullback, and that's kind of where the mode we are in. And it's hard to just look at this and say, "Oh, I don't think this is going to be good. Oh, this isn't going to work." I mean, it is literally making new highs like this. So, yeah, pretty excited about this. And then, there are a few things like that. We can even look at the ARK ETFs. Now, I like looking at ARK because in this case, ARK is just a representation of kind of those growth names. Now, whatever you want to think of it, Kathy Wood and all this kind of stuff. And I know, some people like her, some people hate her, like whatever. The point is, I'm looking at this as a basket of stocks that is representing what I think is to be the bottom feeders or the things that are really, really need lower interest rates and are kind of showing us, like, is this market coming back or not? And it's doing the same thing. I mean, again, look at the life cycle of this thing and it stopped going down, and you know what, it's making new highs. That is the only thing that I'm pointing out and can show and say, the proof is in the pudding. We just saw new highs come in November, December. And yes, it pulls back, but as long as these pullbacks come into support and eventually continue to move up, then we're in a bull market. We're in an up move. And we have a squeeze. The DPO is about to go positive. I mean, you just look, you can see even the life cycle of the DPO, and where are we? The Moxie indicator's been making positive moves. This is looking pretty good. So these are monthly and weekly timeframes. I know you can go to the quarterly timeframe, but these are about the highest timeframes that I use, and they're telling me things want to go up. So with that, we can also look at other areas that are kind of risk on, things that don't go up when things are challenging or when interest rates are going up or when the Fed is trying to put the genie back in the bottle, that kind of stuff. So we'll look at crypto, let's look at biotech, let's look at cannabis. So how about some of those names? With crypto, we can look at GBTC, just for example. This is the ETF for Bitcoin. Say what you will for it. I know that people talk about it, but that is hard to deny. That is really, really hard to deny. And if this is any example of where something like Open or something like ARK could eventually go, then I like the future prospects because, again, look at the life cycle. Here it was, here's 2020, here's 2021, 2022, and then 2023, and then now we're back up again. You know, this is looking good. And so if there are names that I showed you out there that can stop going down and start engaging with their moving averages and they can start doing this, this is going to be fantastic. Like GBTC alone doubled right there. Okay. So this is really good stuff that we're seeing out there. I like everything. And if you look here, look at the DPO, look at where the Moxie indicator fired. That's great stuff. Look at the squeeze, you know, this is fantastic. And then if we look at other names like Mara, you know, again, look at the life cycle. We had this craziness, sure, definitely craziness. They had to put the genie back in the bottle. They found their equilibrium, and now they're starting to move up again. And you know what they're doing it? They're doing it on big volume. And we're seeing new highs. And you can also see, for those of you who are in the Moxie group or understand my tradings, this makes sense. Price below the 50, the Moxie indicator above 0, that was another trampoline move. We also have another little pattern right there, but I'll save that for the Moxie group. And then you can see, yeah, big volume up in here. Now we just have to kind of find our way in because, of course, this was ridiculous. It's way too high. It needed to pull back. We're in that process. Now, is it going to flag or pull back? We don't know, but these things look like they are ready to run and continue to run. So we've got a few names in the crypto space that we're looking at. How about biotech? We can look at LabU. Now, I know this one's challenging too, and it really hasn't done much. You know, that's kind of what I'm trying to say here is that there's been a long time that this has not done anything. And I don't know if we want to trade LabU specifically for a longer term, or maybe there's something else like I think there's Cure and Pill as far as ETFs. Yeah, you can trade those things. But look what just happened. If you look at LabU, it is now over the weekly 50, whereas this move, it did not even get close to the weekly 50. This move could not get past the weekly 50, and this move could not get past the weekly 50. And what just happened this time? We finally got over the weekly 50. So I see this as progress. And if we look at the monthly time frame, what are we also seeing? Well, there was a time where it tried to get past the monthly 10, couldn't do it. But here we are again. Maybe this time's going to actually work. And also, you take a look at the volume, and this is what I'm seeing across the board. There is huge volume coming into these kind of names. Yes, there have been some more in the past and it didn't quite work out, but we're seeing it again. And, you know, at one of these points, something's going to work. So, yeah, I do look at LabU. We also know that biotech in November, December was a huge winner, more than just LabU. Let me kind of look at XBI for a second. Yeah, you can see, look at XBI. New highs, double bottom, positive divergence, Moxie price trigger. What's not to like? So at this point, I think the cat is out of the bag. We've seen a really good November, December. Yes, everything is overbought. Of course, we need to pull back. We need to flag. We need to, you know, get a little bit more realistic about our buy points. But as long as these pullbacks continue to hold strength and these things look good, I don't know what there is to not like about this. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to want to buy up here. You know, let's see if this can cycle back down a little bit. But this is really telling us that there is some strong stuff happening out there, and even the risk on sector is doing this. Now, let's take a look a little bit at cannabis, MSOS. This is you know, there are a few cannabis stocks out there. There's some US based, mostly Canadian based. They are not entirely looking amazing yet. You know, they haven't really started moving. But something like MSOS, I think, is starting to give a clear picture because look at the volume. Look at the volume that is in here. And again, look at the progress as far as what these things have been doing as far as the moving averages. Yes, they've been chopping, but what are they doing? They stopped going down and now they're going higher. They've started making higher lows. The Moxie indicator looks good. You know, the DPO is finally coming up, although, again, this is kind of a newer ETF. We've got squeezes. We're over the moving averages. We're over the moving averages. You know, stuff is looking pretty good. And I think one of the better ones, if we want to look at an individual stock, Tilray, again, I know these things are definitely bottom fishers. So, you know, be careful with these things. They're not totally confirmed, but I am seeing progress. You know, yes, right here, it could not get past the weekly 50. It tried here, couldn't quite do it. And I'm really interested to see if it can finally start getting past its weekly 50 and actually making progress this time. And the other thing is higher low. Look at that. We have a higher low. So call it a double bottom, but it's a higher low double bottom. And that could be the low. And if you also look, you know, oops, let's see, get that. We're seeing volume. Yes, there was volume here. It kind of dwindled, but we're seeing a resurgence of volume again. So that's another area that I'm looking at. And then if we look at XLF, this is just kind of a bigger picture stuff. What else are we seeing? New highs. Pretty good, huh? And it had how many opportunities to break down and go lower, and it couldn't. Look at that. Here is the lowest point, and after that, it started making equal or higher lows. And look at the Moxie indicator going up the whole time. And going back to what I showed you guys with RSP, the equal weight, there's your exit, there's your entry. So this whole 2022, 2023 situation was basically a bear market and then a consolidation, and now we are up and out again. I like it. I like it. And you can see we finally have the monthly 10 trying to move up again. And if price can generally stay above these and trend, we're looking pretty good. Do I want to buy it right here? Of course not. So let's see about pullbacks. Let's see about flags. Let's see what it can do. But overall, looking good. You can even look at the Dow. The Dow was the first one to break out. First of the major ETFs indices to break out. And it's making new highs. Okay. So yes, we went through a big period of bear market, then consolidation. The Magnificent Seven led in 2023. And you know what? I have a feeling now in 2024, everything else is going to start getting into gear because of what we saw in November and December. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. And you can even look at IWM. Just barely, just barely, but look what it did. It's kind of making a new high right there. And again, it had its opportunity to break down and go lower. It really did. This was the pullback for August, September, October. It was pretty brutal. It really was brutal, and that was a big move down. But look what it did. It stopped right there, and now it's making new highs with, again, the Moxie indicator above zero. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. And look, even the DPO, a fresh DPO trigger over here. And just to show you guys that this last move, because I was expecting this pullback to just go right there, because remember, I called the top right there at the end of July. Everything was super bullish. Everything was too high. All the internals said, "Oh man, we really got to come back down on this thing," and it was just too much. And we could see that the DPO was just not quite ready. But what do we have this time? Now it looks good. So yeah, I've got a bright look for 2023. I think, if I remember correctly, seasonality as far as presidential stuff, the year before presidential thing is supposed to be good and bullish. We'll have to see how that works out. Um, who knows what to say about the presidential race coming up? So that could be its own little, circus show. But yeah, I'm happy with what we're seeing here. Big picture, you guys see, I've mostly talked about the monthly, weekly time frame, because here I am trying to say, what do I think is going to happen for 2024? So I need to take a big view. And if you guys look at the big view picture here, things are looking all right, I think. And I've got some other stuff that we can kind of dive into and talk more specifically in the Moxie group. But otherwise, yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. All right, guys. Well, thanks again, and hopefully you guys enjoy the recording of this. We'll be doing more. And again, we're running some specials here, so if you're interested, we got 30% off most everything in our store at Simpler Trading. Come on over, check it out. Would love to see you in the Moxie group. As I said, I think this is going to be a great year. And yeah, come join. We'll see you guys later. Thanks again.